Howdy, howdy, folks. Welcome to Babble with Bronies. I am your host. My name is Everlasting Joy. Now, we're going to do something a teensy bit different this time around. I'll tell you what I mean here very shortly. Whoop, not that one. This one. Yellow.
Me. Yo.
What's going to happen, folks, is this is kind of one of those, we're testing something today. What's going to happen is Tim and Mr. Ben are going to join me for the first hour. This is partially to get more input on the there we go. Partially to get more input on the art and whatnot, but this is also partially because it falls under what's the point of me bringing them on and off like I was with the comics. So it's just more of a logic thing. We'll try this if you guys like it, and we'll do this for a couple of weeks. If you guys like it, fantastic. Then we'll carry on with it. If you guys don't like it, we'll cut it off. But for the first hour, they'll join me, and when we get to the second hour, I'll end the call with them, and we'll carry on like we always have with the discussion. So, let's get started, shall we? You guys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. One thing I want to check yep. Just as I thought. Always happens. Anyway, let's get started with Danus.
Danus.
Bonus duck.
Fourth Dimension Entertainment is launching pre-orders for the Fluttershy plushie. They teased this a little while ago, and I covered it. Here it is for you guys. And so if you want this, feel free to start placing your pre-orders in now, folks.
Yay.
Yay.
Well, their plushies are awesome, so it's a good offer.
They have a Pinkie Pie one, and I should also note that the Twilight Sparkle as a unicorn has been reopened. So if you want her, go for it. So that's 3 of them that they have up, the other one being Pinkie Pie, which I know they still have those going on, and I'd love to have one of those, but yeah.
That Twilight looks like she lit Twilight anyway, so I think it fits that she's a unicorn.
Who knows? They might really see Alicorn version one day. Yeah,
that would be nice too.
Yeah, no. All right. Let's go on to the next bit, shall we? Friendship
That's
is
right.
Magic is being dropped from Netsticks, or as most everyone else calls it, Netflix. Now, before everyone goes panicking, don't worry. I wouldn't look too much into this. I'm guessing what it is, it's just a matter of licensing, and
They already did say they'll be putting back up, so it will get an extension, so it's not really a drop.
yeah, I just wanted to bring this one up because I did get a few people wanting me to touch on this one. I'm guessing it will drop at some point, and I don't mean at the end of everything. I mean some parts within its lifetime is what I'm trying to get at. This stuff happens, and unfortunately, of course, it always means that they drop the good stuff and replace it with some terrible Insane Clown Posse movie. Yes, I'm not joking about that. But my problems aside, and I forgot to give you guys the link, I'm sorry. But anyway, anything else on this one?
Well, like I said, they are most likely, at least as a QD reports, they are most likely getting a renewal, so it doesn't really strike me as a terrible bit of news anyway.
I do have to laugh though that I think it was Matt or was it Dark 92 Enigma? Someone anyway said, "Oh, so G4 can get dropped, but all the terrible G3 um, made to DVD specials can stay on there permanently or something."
Yep.
That was something that struck my mind too. I'm like, "Oh, so those can stay, but G4 goes. What a world." Whatever.
Well, they are run by Bizarro, so
True. Anyway, and lastly on the news, Legends of Equestria is opening an open server weekend later this month.
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
I hope they get better service.
Indeed. But what are they?
Last time I couldn't even join.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, same.
I wanted to. I like that game.
Anyway, Lid, go ahead.
It's a great flight simulator in disguise.
Oh, good. There's another simulator we can add to the list.
Seriously, it's a great flight simulator.
Fair enough. I was just joking at how everything nowadays has to have that word simulator after it. Anyway, Legends of Equestria is running another open server test on the 24th through the 26th of this month, January. Early downloads happen over here on the 22nd. So if you want in, try it there. What else was I was going to say? Oh yeah, maybe I'll give this a try. Hopefully I won't be so backed up the butt busy that I can do it. But we'll see by then. Alright. I don't believe there was any comic news. I didn't find any, so Matt, if I am wrong, please correct me. But the only other...
Oh, no voice acting today? Oh, well.
No, as in official comic news.
Comic news.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
What was it I was...
If he's wrong, Matt, please be mad.
But I don't
That
think
was
so.
a bum.
I mean, I kept pretty good... kept a pretty close eye on it, so I don't think I saw anything. Anyway, two other little pieces of news that I'll share. The top 10 pony videos of December 2014 have been released. The voting, I should say. The voting for it is up. Here's the link to the video. Rules are the same. Put your 5 favorite videos of the month of December 2014 in the comments. Those are the votes. And let's see. When does he say it's done with? Voting ends in 3 days, January 7th. When going out there, put your votes in. Show some love. Tell Jay I said hi.
Yeah, and thank you, Jay Haller, for keeping this going, because it's a good thing. It helps some videos get some exposure. It just helps in general, so thank you for community building.
More importantly, it gets the artists' attention.
Yep.
I know I've found my fair share of content creators via this.
Me too.
Anyway, let's move on. Last bit of news. MLP Team Fortress 2 mod site is back up. If you want to ponify your Team Fortress 2 experience, here it is. This is basically the ultimate site for that. And yes, I'm going to eventually be going through this, downloading as much of this crap as I can, and just ponifying the garbage out of my TF2 game. Why?
Ditto.
Why not? I mean, we stream this stuff on Friday most of the time, so we might as well be official with it, right?
Yeah. Say I found this pretty sweet looking Nightmare Moon looking minigun that I want to get for my heavy, but among other things.
Let me just say this. Shy spy!
That Pyro is a spy.
That medic is a spy. Spy is not our spy.
Spy spam. Spy spam everywhere.
I spy with my little eye!
Okay, let us move on then. Yoink. Goodbye, me. So, audience, art or videos first? And yes, I'll let you guys vote as well, Ben and Tim. What do you want?
Art thou not entertained?
Let's go with art too.
All right. Quiet crowd here today. It's good on my end. Okay, I think I'm going to call it, because unless I get some sudden flood, it's 3 art, 1 video. So, art. Art thou ready, gentlemen?
I art.
Hey, I can do the silly puns just as good. You know that.
Indeed we do.
Okay.
Rather, that's right.
How about we go with this one? Special Snowflake by Pride Dark. Yoink. Dot. It's do I how do I want to put this? Yeah.
You don't need
I
to
know
say
I
anything.
showed I know I said I showed this one, believe it or not, about 2 weeks ago. I snuck this one into the audience just as a random picture for the audience at some, what was it, just some
Yep.
Sunday or something. I was just kind of, I threw this one in there because I thought this needs to be seen. But I also said I would get this one on today's show, and here I am.
It's a very lovely picture. I'm not gonna lie.
Venher.
I like that they preserved the EQG style eyes. Because otherwise it would be just animesque in the typical sense. And like this, it works. And frankly, this picture doesn't even need any more. Just look at her.
I really like what Pridark did with the snowflake and the lighting around it, making the snowflake a little bit brighter and having it have a light to it. I think it's really cute, and I think it really helps
only missing,
Sonata here.
Yep, it's only missing an ethereal core thingy.
I have to admit, when I first pulled up this image, my first reaction was, what the hell happened to her nose? It's not... Oh, wait, yeah, it's there. Just barely seen.
Yep, that's what I was referring to.
All right. Let's move on to the next one.
And what I need to mention, great hair and great work with that skirt and clothes in general.
Mm-hmm.
And the fur lining, because, well, credit where it's due. Even the clouds. That
Yes.
guy does some very nice toad work and clothes work, so and hair work. Good job, Pridark.
Pridark's female, for the record.
That girl doesn't matter. Hands are the same, pants are the same, so bleh.
Just counting the comics that we have. Surprisingly, let's see. Two different artists have comics this week, so we'll only have 2 comic things. But let's go with this one while we're here.
By the way, happy belated New Year to everyone. because the scarcity of content this week could be explained by this.
How about we go with this one by The Wizard of Art, titled All is Calm. For you? That picture, Mr. Ben. This one, I know I've only shown his work once, a few times actually. I showed the Wizard's Apprentice one. That was the last one I showed. But anyway, long story short, this one caught me partially because of the scenery and partially because of the timing of the year. I couldn't let this one go. Not at this time of the year, folks, when it's cold and all that. But I always like these pictures that encompass the time of the year, especially Christmas ones. I always like that certain sense of peace that not just comes with the time of the year itself, but what artists capture. And this is a prime example of it.
And let me, if I may just say something, that it's not just the landscape and not just the peacefulness in the landscape, it's also how he portrayed the characters, I would say. Because these are both rather good portrayals of Twilight and Spike, as in fairly faithful to how they appear. They get the character across in both cases. And they fit in perfectly with the landscape. So it's a cohesive picture and it has peace and everything, sure. It's warm despite being snowy and cold. Basically, it's Christmassy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fitting. The guy may have a pretentious name, but he sure lives up to it.
I have to agree. It's incredibly it may be a scene of a cold, wintry, environment, but just the interaction between Twilight and Spike there is just incredibly heartwarming. It's something you wouldn't seem out of place in the actual show if this were something like from an episode.
Yep. And also, I would like to mention the style. It's at the same time it's simple and not. It's interesting, and he manages to have great definition in both the foreground, that is on the characters, and in the background, and it doesn't conflict at all. So, great job there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Check out the rest of his gallery, folks. Do it now. Well, after the show, then thank me later.
Yep.
How about we go with this one by Assassin Monkey titled Little Snow Apples. For you guys? See if I can't blow this one up a little bit. Yeah, there we go.
Use some C4.
Boom.
Ha ha ha.
And yes, Monkey Assassin as usual.
I think
he remains one of my favorite artists, I would say.
Partially what I was just going off of capturing that time of year, I think why I like this one the most is the action. First of all, I could totally see Granny Smith doing that, making her own snow fort, and cue the snowball effect episode from SpongeBob SquarePants. Easily.
Yep.
By the way, Apple Bloom, stop being adorable. You're going to kill everyone.
I was about to say, how exactly is Apple Bloom planning on throwing that thing? That thing's bigger than she is.
She's not going to throw it, she's going to roll it.
Yeah. Crush everyone under its massive weight. I see how it is.
Yep. Also, that snow pony is totally Assassin Monkey himself.
It's what?
Looks like him. It's him. It's the artist.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Little self-insertion, eh?
Yep. It actually reminds me of a much earlier piece by Husi, I believe, or Hus, however you're meant to pronounce him. It's kind of similar view, except this one is in winter, and this one has a ton more characters.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I would say that... I would actually like to say that Sassanmanka here managed to do some very good lighting.
Yes.
It's very wintry, very fitting for winter sun and the snow reflection effect. It's just the right amount of brightness and just the right amount of blueness in everything. And it is all the more remarkable since most of his work is usually so dark. And this one is so bright.
Definitely.
Also, look at the clouds.
You walk inside and you're just blinded from all that bright light shining in your eyes. Ugh.
Yep. Basically, I like where he went here. He managed to obscure the parts that needed too much detail behind motion blur or behind shadows, and put a great lot of detail where it needed to be. Just look at those clouds, for example, or the hair. So, good job, Sasmanki.
All right. Why don't we move on then? How about... Excuse me. Since we're on the subject of Applejack, or at least the Apple family anyway, how about this one by Seneca, titled BR Applejack? Now this one you could call, maybe that it's not pony-ish, but I call it close enough.
Ah, that one.
And this one was probably something everyone saw at all throughout the week, but that's fine by me. I like showing it irrelevant of that fact. I'll read the description. The kids, quote, the kids really wanted to have their own Applejack. This pony is not amused, though, end quote.
Lots of horse lulls were had, judging by the reactions.
There was a commenter on this one said, I wouldn't, in regards to the horses, I wouldn't be laughing so hard to the white horse, the commenter said. You're probably going to be their rarity.
Yep. Or Celestia.
Or, yeah.
Or at least shining armor, but it will take a while anyway.
Kudos to the horse, though, getting painted and all that for taking it.
Mm.
Yeah, it may not be too thrilled, but at least it's not thrashing around and kicking the kids' faces in or anything like that. So,
yep, it's a nice horse.
It's a good sport. Although I'm not gonna lie, when I see that face, I'm thinking more along the lines of Cranky Doodle Donkey than anything else.
Just like one of the commenters points out.
Huh?
Like one of the commenters points out, I bet the horse name is Cranky Doodle. He does have the angry frog face.
Quick as a whip, kid. So, what really drew me to this one, though, is just, it falls under, it's kids, it's a horse. I could see them doing something like this. And you know what? It's adorable.
Sad thing to admit, I'm nearly 28. I feel the temptation to go out and do something like this.
Also, that's one massive hat.
Yeah. Probably their dads.
Or her scarecrows.
Or, yep.
Or maybe both.
Who knows? Alright. Y'all ready to move on?
Yep.
Yep.
How about...
I keep seeing you as Trixie when you say this.
How about you? This one is by DM29, titled, I Love My Big Brother. dot 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 for you guys. He was experimenting with a new style here. And first of all, I absolutely adore the styling. I really do. He should. I know he's not going to make. It's not permanent. Quote. Not a style change. Not a style change. Not a style change. Not a style change. End quote.
Ad infinitum.
Yep. All I can imagine though is just someone, me, commenting on this, going, "Style change. We're done here. Pack it up, folks. We're out."
Backing up. Heavy load coming through.
Gotta move that gear up.
Seriously speaking, I do like this styling, and I do, honest to goodness, hope he does more of this. I know he's not going to make it a permanent change, and that's fine, but seriously, it's way too cute, man. This is why I showed it, was the cuteness factor. Or at least part of, anyway.
I would say that he could mix this with his usual style for a better result myself.
Mm-hmm.
Just a mix between the two would be perfect.
You can see over
This
here...
one.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, this one suffers at some angles. Actually, this one is one of them. But other angles would be perfect with it. So I would say just mix both.
Why not? Something I want to... What was it I was trying to comment on here? Oh, there was another one he had for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day that he wanted to... Or he had that I could have shown, but I decided on this one because it was timeless. So I went with that one instead. There's that. And all right. Y'all ready? How about we do one of the comics? How about we do this one by Ed Owato titled Dan vs. Bronies Chapter 1, The Grand Plan Part 1.
Oh, another one of these I see.
So yes, Edo
Yep.
is back with his Dan vs. comic series, and he's doing a collaboration with one other person. I can't remember the name right off the bat. Working with Error Man. So we'll give credit where credit's due to Error Man as well. And anyway, here's the chapter or comic for you two. We just have
Okay.
Dan and Chris. Who wants who?
If I
I'll
take
take
Dan,
Chris.
I was about to say, if I take Dan, I'm gonna blow everyone's ears out again, as I always do.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Alrighty. Okay.
Then who wants Chris?
I'll take
Just-
Chris.
I was about
Okay.
to say, Tim just said that, so
I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
no problem.
Anyway, Dan starts,
Alrighty.
and I am ready whenever you guys are.
Okay. Stupid monkey-hating pony. I'll show them. How dare they? I hate them. I hate all of them. Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Dan, just calm down. We're like we only got kicked out for the rest of the day.
Don't tell me this doesn't upset you as well. Those bronies just ruined the thing you and I have been looking forward to for months.
Disappointed. Yes. Ruined by rage. Blinded by rage. No. You next.
Why do they have to replace the space monkeys from the planet Space Panel? They can't possibly be that many grown men who watch a show for little girls.
Actually, you would be surprised. They have a whole panel section for at least 4,000 bronies.
What was that?
Yeah, and some question and answer panel where the voice actors of the show get to interact with the fans.
Where exactly is that located?
It says panel 18. Wait, why?
So I can burn their panel down to the ground!
Dan,
They ruined my convention, so I'm gonna ruin theirs. Now let me get some gas from one of the cars.
Dan, I'm not going to help you steal gas from other cars.
Well, we can't use the gas from your car because you forced me to take a plane. That, by the way, almost had me killed.
Why does arson always have to be your go-to solution for everything? Can't I just live this once?
You know what, Chris? You're right. I won't burn this place down.
Then for last time... Wait, really?
Yep.
That was surprisingly easy.
If I really want to ruin this for them, I have to go to the source. I need to sabotage the panel so that the voice actors won't stay and answer questions.
Sabotage? Do you mean like throw an eggs and rotten fruit at them?
Something like that.
He did release part 2 later this week as well, but later last week. We'll be showing it next week, so stick around as part 2 rolls around. In the meantime, part 1. And what was it I was going to say to this one? Oh, if you ever have a chance to go to a pony convention, let me tell you from experience, folks, do it. Just do yourself a favor and do it.
Yep, it's worth it. Definitely.
All right. So let's go now with... Okay, let's go with this one. MLP 2014 New Year's Wish by Foxme. I wanted to show this one partially because I haven't shown anything by her in a long time, and partially because I like this picture. Not for the shipping aspects, but because I am not kidding when I say I swear to Aisha that Big Mac looks like Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist, and Cheerilee looks almost like Winry Rockwell from the same series. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to show this.
I would say they do.
Does Big Mac get pissed off if someone mentions his height?
Of course, Big Mac's tall, so he doesn't have that shortness problem.
Maybe it works in reverse for him. Who knows?
To be fair, that is true. I mean, when you are tall, I hear that all you get is, "How's the weather up there?" Schmucks. Anyway, it's nice to see Foxme back in action. I've always... Was that...
Indeed.
I
Miss her.
I don't think she's back in the game, back in the game, but I don't know.
She's alive.
She's alive. That's the best way of looking at it. Quote, I know I've disappeared for a long time, but I still want to say Happy New Year's. My New Year's wish is to see Big Mac and Cheerilee being together. P.S. My boyfriend bought a baby black cat for me 3 months ago. She's so crazy, energetic, and super cute. I'm busy taking care of her and playing with her. That's why I've disappeared for such a long time. End quote.
Basically, cats ruin everything.
Say that to Death Pony.
Meow.
Well, he has a dog is what I mean. But anyway, anything more to say about this one, guys?
I just had to agree. Cheer Mac forever, but let's know that. I'm sorry, Tim. Take that back. Let's not get a shipping war started here.
Too late.
It's okay. I'm fine with this shipping. One of the few, actually. I'm not really a shipping person, but hey, some I can tolerate. At least I see the Gizmo Crusaders tolerated, more than tolerated.
Considering they were responsible for the whole thing to begin with.
Look at Apple.
I would hope they would be.
Apple Bloom. That's Apple Bloom, though.
Yeah. It's like she's finally decided to realize that, oh crap, I just hooked up my brother with my teacher. What the hell was I thinking?
That can only mean
no
one
more skipping
thing.
homework for you.
What?
No more skipping homework for you.
I was going to say that means double the homework. As if they don't have enough.
Yep.
Anyway, personal problems aside here.
It's interesting to see how she used brownish green for the lines here. It's kind of, there is a layer of background light somehow that seems to run between the coloring and the line work. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how it's kind of alters the picture, how it looks. That said, that's messy style for the hair, and messy line work style, and at the same time a rather clean coloring style. I like how it works. And yeah, her faces are still very good within the anime-esque range, but nicely altered, very good, I would say, very fitting.
Mm-hmm.
I like the expressions, I like the posing, I like the work, I like the style, I like the so good job.
Hey, let's move on.
Yeah, that's right.
This next one is titled When I Grow Up, I Want to Be Just Like Dash by Epic Rainbow Crafts. He had a Dashy one earlier this week, but I wanted to show this one because I don't think I've seen a Scootaloo out of him. At least I know I haven't in a long time. And the socks are adorable. They're a nice touch. I like what they did with the coloring of the mane and tail as well. This very bright, hot pink. I know Scoots is a little bit darker, but I still think this is actually really pretty, especially on a plushie.
Yep, Bunkaloo.
You know, when you say that, I imagine her being more of like her hair in a mohawk and her riding around on a motorcycle.
I imagine her tail being a mohawk.
You know what? I'd like to see that.
That'd be a dang. That'd be an accomplishment. That'd be pretty cool.
Excuse me. Guys, keep commenting.
Yep.
Well, I have to admit, it's not often we see a bunch of. Well, I don't know with the BwB, it's kind of an uncommon thing rather than a rarity. But it's kind of an uncommon thing that we actually get a lot of plush art, and I have to admit, I always like the plush art a little bit more than the traditional, artwork. Mainly because with plush artwork, I mean, you have, not just a visual medium there, but you've got like more physical, three-dimensional that you have to keep in mind as well. It's a lot more intensive, I would think, rather than just trying to draw something.
And
not
you
that
can
drawing. Yeah, that too. But yeah, not saying that traditional art's any easier than plush making. So
it's also more tangible. There's something to consider.
Yep. And it still has individual styles and stuff, so still has diversity. So it's good art form.
Exactly.
I almost thought you said that's Scoot art form.
Yes, that's good art form. Scoot art needs to be a thing. Nothing but pictures of Rainbow Dash.
All right. I didn't.
No, you didn't.
There we go. Now I did. All right. Let's move on. So far, so good. I have the last comic and then Talks Time. And today, gentlemen, we are finishing End of a Generation by Beavernator. It's parts 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Yay.
Finally. And I say that on the basis of not, I'm tired of this. I'm not. I say it on the basis of, I've delayed this long enough. Let's finish this off.
Yep, and we had a setback, so...
Yeah, we did, but still, it falls under... This has been going on for quite a while. Let's try and get this finished. Alright, the only one in this one is a Sunset Shimmer monologue.
So that's me.
Okay.
I keep Shimmer. I like to keep Shimmer.
Okay, I am ready. Whenever you are.
Right, so... Changeling buzzing sounds. Bzz, bzz. So you're the queen that got away. You eluded Princess Celestia. She sent the changelings to another plane. The one who repopulated changelings after all these centuries.
Oh, goody.
The brood.
Hang on. Okay. Go back to the second panel and carry on.
A changeling queen would never disguise herself, only to risk exposing herself directing the rest of the brood. Bzz. Boom. Bzz.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, wait, no.
Every recorded changeling attack in history has had 2 queens involved. My suspicions grew seeing only 1 queen photographed. A royal couple would have had more than enough sustenance for Chrysalis to defeat Celestia. You picked your timing carefully.
People tell me Chrysalis was foolish. Carry on.
The attack doubled as a diversion. You took whatever power remained from the fallen princess. You discarded whatever was left and pretended to be held prisoner. The aging queen would finally have revenge along with an extended lifespan. I could spare you, forgive you, all of you. I know how to reopen that portal Celestia sent your kin through. I could release this chokehold and reunite you like Celestia would have done. But I'm not Princess Celestia. I'm just her rejected student.
Do 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 do. By the way, I like the white hair on the changeling queen.
Yep.
Part 11. Part 12.
I keep Sunset.
There's also Twilight.
So who's Twilight?
Ben?
I'm about to say, you hadn't had a speaking part in one of these comics yet, have you?
Nope. I don't care, though.
I was about to say, go for it. I usually voice Celestia in these things here.
All right.
When ready.
Hang on. Okay. Sunset Shimmer starts.
First, that classic concussion sound. The good news is that shot to your torso wasn't fatal. Though I'd probably get that checked out. Where's the nearest hospital?
It's not too far from here.
Can you walk? Do you need my help?
It stings pretty badly, but I think I can walk there.
You're sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Don't worry about me.
Alright, I'll grab Luna, drop you both off at the hospital, and be on my way.
Wait, what happened? Where are you going?
A changeling queen disguised as Celestia attacked us, Twilight. She thought she was powerful enough to take us both on, and she was. There's probably a changeling army coming to pick us off, and I'm the only one who can stop it.
Then shouldn't I be helping you?
Bad idea. As much as I'd like to believe that I can run this kingdom on my own, I know full well that my regime can only lead us all to ruin. That's why I kept you here at my side. You're the closest thing I've had to a friend. My last scrap of sanity in this world. If I lose you, Equestria's future would fade, and everything I did to guard it would have been for nothing.
Part 12. Pot 13.
There's only one line, and it's mine.
Yep.
Just tell me when to go.
I have it up. I am ready, and I'll tell you which panel I'm in. 1. Are you ready, I should say?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
1. 2. 3. Keep it going. 4. 5. Six. 7. Eight.
What the fuck?
9.
And changeling guards are like, oh crap, what the heck's going on here?
Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Oh crap.
10. Check the chat if you get a chance, by the way.
Yep.
11. 12. 13. 14.
Go with God. Right.
17. 18. That smile.
And they're all charbroiled and burnt to a crisp.
Just how I like my burgers.
Indeed.
Actually, no,
Pepper.
I just like.
Pepper.
And to wrap this up, Pod 14.
And we all get a part.
Yay!
There it is. And okay, good. So yes, we have Sunset, Twilight, Celestia, and Luna. Who wants who?
Like you
Say,
said.
I'll take, my usual.
I guess the big question is who wants Luna.
Nobody wants Luna. Let's go.
I could take her as well.
Okay, go
unless
ahead,
you
Ben.
want to.
No, go ahead, Ben.
All right.
All right, I'm on the first panel. Good news is you're not dead. The better news is these hospitals have teal gauze. Not exactly your favorite color, cyan, but it's close enough. Way back when in magic school, you'd argue with the other fools and you thought cyan and blue were the same. You argued with them that cyan and blue were the same. You'd never take those 8 packs of crayons because it didn't have cyan.
Wait, how did you know that? We've never met in Celestial School for Gifted Unicorns.
I apologize for this deception, but I'd rather not wake you with a panic attack.
If I can recall correctly, you fought also and that looked like me several weeks ago.
What the fuck? Either you never died or I am in the afterlife.
I am very much alive and well, but I suppose that hardly answers anything. Our bodies failed, as they eventually would. We learned not to attach ourselves to something as fragile as flesh. Our vitality is drawn from the moon and the sun, but the magic we could channel is limited by our physical forms. Our power would only depreciate throughout our lifespan. Well, the price for effect immortality was minuscule. We were not invulnerable. Our greatest enemies knew about this. We could be imprisoned, our powers nullified, or worse. At some point, we needed the denizens of Equestria to become self-reliant. We needed somebody to rule in our stead, if and when we were gone. A pony like Twilight Sparkle.
It seems we've reached that stage. Now what?
We mark it as the end of a generation and celebrate it by celebrating a new one. by creating a new one. Equestria may not be the first world we've made, but it certainly won't be the last. Eventually, we emerge anew from the sun and the moon alike. To celebrate our new lives, we explore a new corner of the universe, and we start life all over again.
Of course, we always visit our older colonies and tie up loose ends every now and again. Now get out of bed. I have something to show you. Twilight's healing magic is coming along rather nicely. Of course, I couldn't resist adding my own touches on top of ours.
Spring.
Sorry, I'm a bit behind. Okay, now I'm caught up.
Spring. I don't understand. I never followed your teachings of friendship. I have gone out of my way to outright defy it at times.
You're right. I don't agree with everything you did. You were kicked from my school from gifted unicorns because you were volatile. In the end, your recklessness caught up to you. By the time you realized it, it was too late, and you almost paid the ultimate price for it. At the same time, I can't say your efforts weren't enough. The elements of harmony were no longer functional, and Equestria's leadership was slowly unraveling. You could have done nothing. You could have taken all of our magic and left without a word. Instead, despite my disdain and the rest of ours, you chose to defend what I could not. I know the rings mean nothing to you, but they mean everything to her and everyone else. Promise me this. No matter what happens next, don't be too hard on yourself. Even now, after everything you've done, you can still go home. Lucky you.
Hugs.
Hugtacular.
Feathers for everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, The End of a Generation, Part 14. And the ending.
Yep, Ben. It was unwise to pick that voice for this panel, or for this chapter.
I regret nothing.
Alright. So, it's talks time. I'm going to hang up this call and we'll get him in guys. Alright?
Sounds good to me.
See you in the chat.
Alrighty then.
All right.
Yellow.
Yep.
Howdy, Tux.
Yo.
You ready?
Yes, I am.
Alright. First one is Plenty of Fight Left in Me.
Yes.
Tell us more about this.
All right. Let's see. So this picture was. Let's
Easy
see.
viral.
Yeah. No, it was oh that one. All right. So that one was a really interesting one. That one actually took a while for me to do. It's different because I actually tried doing it from behind the back.
Okay.
That was what was really neat about that picture, though.
You mean that it was the posing?
Yeah, because the thing is, trying to get the whole. The whole thing. It wasn't like it wasn't working right. So the thing is, when I was working on it, it actually. The surprising thing is that it turned out a lot better than the initial sketches. If I actually show you guys the initial sketch, it looks so bad. And the thing, she was never supposed to have any blood on it. But the thing is, that extra little bit that I did, it actually helps tie the picture in to the background now.
How
so? It's actually well. If you just have if it's a plain white coat like that, then it doesn't look right. And actually, she it's too bright in a sense, because if you look at the whole picture as a whole, it's really, really, really dark.
Right.
So this thing, it basically like blends it in, if you will.
Nice.
So I mean, I really like how this came out. I mean, I know like some people are gonna say it, but I know I'm gonna get the comments. Like I got the same comments I got on the picture before, but it's like No, this was actually definitely one of my more better pictures I've done recently, though. It was never supposed to be like that, though, but it tied in a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It just looks a lot better.
Oh boy, here we go again.
It looks really, really nice.
Sure. Anything else you want to say on this one?
No, it's just this one was it's a second pure behind the back one that I've done. I got more I want to do with something similar to that, but this thing was overall though I'm very pleased with it because everything's right on it. I got the right amount of muscle tone on her, and it's just basically the hair was so much easier to do than it used to be because I didn't. That's the third time I think I've ever drawn vinyl. But no, the whole picture as a whole. I mean, it's really nice. I thought I was originally going to have her firing a beam back, like a whatever you want to call it, and that actually was supposed to be a lot better. But
Sure.
I'm going to see that type of picture for another one. That I may do this on the next one. I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens because I really like how this model scratch came out overall. The blood really makes it tie in a lot better than if she just had a plain white coat on her.
I concur easily.
Yeah, because she's too bright, and then it's like the aura's like it's like I'm looking at it right now. It's like a very faint orange red that I have on it. But my thing that I do know on these, I'm making these things really darker. The darker I make these backgrounds without making it too dark, the more the character pops a lot on these.
Shall we move on to the comic then?
Sure thing.
All right. Every apple has their day.
Yes, this one. I love this comic. You can do the dialogue if you want.
Okay. By the way, I like your sizing for the comic. I can fit it right in my window.
Actually, the only reason why it's fitted like that is because I can technically I can adjust it. It's basically does the DeviantArt setting on it, where if you click on it, it zooms in enough, or it's like I zoom it into like around 700 pixels instead of it being like at 600, which is more panned back. It's a matter of preference. Depends on the comic.
Right. Still, I just want to say, whether dumb coincidence or not, I like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, going on.
Yeah. I don't know if you're going to do the dialogue and the reading it.
Yep, I will.
Okay.
There we go. That should be enough for today. Now to get these back to the farm.
And then the Applejack in the basket.
What was she sleeping in the basket or something?
No, actually, it's basically she's putting the apples into the basket, and Applejack just happened to be in the basket with the part of the apples, in a sense. It's the thing is, and originally a lot of people were getting confused. They were saying something to the effect like it was, she was putting the apples back in the trees, and I can see that. The thing is, I intentionally made it so it was the opposite way around, and only like 3 comments I ever got on that.
But still.
No, this thing was really well. It worked really, really nice though. Just the overall sunset appearance of it was really hard to get it right though.
I bet. Coloring.
I don't really use that type of gradient that well. I mean, that's a few times I've done it this summer, but that one was a lot trickier to get everything right.
Sure, I bet.
But no, there's really not much more to say on that thing. It was more straightforward then.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
No, that's all I got for now.
All right.
Let's save everything for more next week then.
Sounds like a winner.
All right, man. Yep.
Take care.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. Next week. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yep, later.
Ladies and gentlemen, Toxic Mario. All right. Now for the one video we had this week. Wings of Bravery, Derpy and Carrot Top's Epic Adventure by Carbon Maestro. The Wings of Bravery by Carbon Maestro. All right, folks. It's discussion time. So, season 2, opening thoughts and whatnot. While I get things set up here. What did you guys think of season 2 as a whole? Matt. Yeah, I know that, series versus season, but I'm not going there. All right, let's start this off with a question, folks. Just like with season 1, just if you had to describe season 2 in one word or a very short phrase, what would it be? And of course, why? Mr. Ben. Okay, I'm really liking yours, Rain Shadow, and that's partially because mine is somewhat similar. I'll get there. I'll get there shortly when you guys start. But I didn't factor the fandom into things. However, maybe I should have. But yes, I like what you have to say. Huh. If I had to describe season 2 in one word, it would be maturing or maturity, maturation, whichever one you want to pick, depending on the form, of course. Yeah, growth, expansion, development, whatever synonym you want to use. I have to agree with everyone saying it, and that's exactly, of course, what I picked as well. For me, it fell more into the show side of things that I picked this. But yeah, I'm sure, Rain, if you throw if you give a good explanation as to why the fandom why I should. Let me back up here. I never took the fandom into consideration because I guess it was just for the sake of time more than anything. However, I like your points, and I will ask you about them. But anyway, the point is getting on with the show aspect. The reason I picked maturity, the short answer is the statistics back that up, Rain, definitely. I pick maturity because the short answer is while there was definitely change, definite growth, definite things that were different from season 1, season 2 didn't deviate so greatly from season 1. As you could guess, it's the second season. The show staff now know what they're dealing with. They know what works and what doesn't work. So they're of course going to go with what works, heavily emphasize that, and then heavily de-emphasize or downright avoid that which doesn't work, which is exactly it, which is what maturing is all about. Not just from, say, our perspective, but easily just the sense of, duh. Grew the almighty beard. Just reading some of the comments here. Something I said way back about exactly a year ago. At least to the month, I'll say that much. We'll get to season 3 and 4 and so on. But hold off on that one, folks, for now. Let's focus on season 2. Something that I want to note. Way back when we reviewed Lesson 0, I said that there was a heavy changing of the guard. And first of all, I still stand behind that 100%. But I also said before we wrapped things up that I would discuss a lot of that stuff during this episode, this specific episode that we're on, that I said I would note what changed, what differed, this is why I said maturity. And I said that there was some change to it, but not, of course, a truckload. Anyway, as I said, one part of the change from the changing of the guard in particular, and not part of the change of that came from just the sense of the show staff maturing. They knew what they were working with, so that in season 2, they go with that, as I just said. The second part, though, does come from a styling standpoint. Now, before I go on, I'm going to stress this. What I'm about to say is nothing more than just, well, they're hypotheses. They're not very well tested. And at that, I could be completely dead wrong, and you guys could say, hey, wait a minute, EJ, that's so wrong that I'm going to write a nasty comment in the YouTube section, or even on here, saying why I'm a complete load of crap. Prove me wrong, please. Some of the styling notes that I did pick up on, though, from season 1 to season 2 between Lauren and Megan. Now, I'm going to just shorthand it as Megan, but yeah, I realize this brings in Jason Thiessen and Big Jim Miller, but work with me here. Where I think some styling differences do come up, and why I think that Megan has done a far better job than Lauren has ever done, comes from simply looking at, let's look at the Powerpuff Girls. Now, I'm going to use Powerpuff Girls, but you can probably bring this out to other Faust worked on shows. If we look at the Powerpuff Girls, the one key element of this that I've noticed in between each episode is the continuity of it is extremely thin. That is, each episode is kind of its own self-contained universe. There's certainly continuity. I mean, you still have Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup there. And, you know, all the main characters. But it's a Monster a Day episode, so it's not surprising that it's also very self-contained, each episode self-contained. You can watch virtually any episode at any point in its timeline, and you wouldn't get lost with anything. I've always felt that Season 1, as Tim just pointed out, stuck very, very close to that. I do think the continuity was a little bit stronger than the Powerpuff Girls, but that, to me, was never saying that much. However, Season 2, on the other hand, it was not that surprising to me to see the changing of the guard bring such a dynamic, such a more dynamic shift to it, a paradigm shift. Season 2, let me see what is it? As I say, it's very subtle. On the surface, we don't see a lot, but with Season 2, I've always felt that the continuity was a little bit stronger. It's true that you don't have to watch, you could watch a lot of Season 2's episodes in particular in any order, and it won't really matter that much. But it's what lays beneath it that is the more interesting aspect. And Lesson 0, I want to talk about Lesson 0 again. And this pertains to the entirety of Season 2. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to be too ashamed to look at my show notes today, folks, because I wrote a lot and I'm going to need them. I'm actually more interested in what you guys are saying, so I'm reading this. And one thing I will say is, if I'm making these two things sound like they're mutually exclusive phenomenon, that is, it's maturity on the show staff's behalf and the difference in changing of the guard, I'm not. I'm going to read over my notes while Matt types it up. I'll be getting back to that note, Matt. That very last bit of yours. Okay. While I said, if you guys remember that Very funny, Rain. While I said back at the end of, or during Lesson Zero, I said that Lesson Zero itself was where Lesson Zero began is the beginning of the McCarthy era and the end of the Faust era. I still stand behind that. So everyone's saying something like, the season 2 opener is still season 2. We already went over that. And I said that while it is technically season 2, and I do technically count it as season 2 for part of the reason that Matt mentioned, I also call it part of the Faust era. So you can kind of think of it as two things in one. But I want to focus now on Lesson Zero in particular. Let's look back at the episode and what makes it different from the season 1 episodes. To me, the most substantial thing about Lesson Zero is that it makes it stick out not just in the seriousness of Twilight's breakdown. And before anyone jumps on me, I want to note that Party of One was written by Megan McCarthy as well. However, while it's serious, it does have a hint of silliness to it too, of course. But to me, it never felt as childish as a season 1 episode. Yes, Lesson Zero is still a kid. MLPF season 2 is still a kids show, but where was I? It's still, and Lesson Zero is fine for children, depending on how you want to work it. But I've never felt that it was as innocent as a season 1 episode. It took itself far more seriously than anything before it, including the season 2 premiere. Which, yeah, that was dark, but again, seriousness is where I'm premising this on. I can further back this claim up, the seriousness claim. I can further back this up with some of the other stories of season 2. Look at Sisterhood Social, Sweet and Elite, Baby Cakes, The Last Roundup, to name a few. Look at what I noted about those episodes that I just named. And I could go on. But I said something like Sweet and Elite is crazy, is amazing because of the lesson. It said, know thyself, that, home is where the heart is kind of thing. The Last Roundup, don't run from your problems. That's a pretty mature thing. Dragon Quest, know thyself even more so than what Sweet and Elite said. But this one was the definitive know thyself. And I said how important and mature it is for not just the kids to know this lesson, but for adults to know it as well. Did we get any of that stuff in season 1? No. Now, again, I know you're going to jump on me, but I'm going to answer those questions with just one phrase. It's season 1. Of course. Continuing on. These episodes had very serious, very powerful messages to them. Something that I don't think season 1 would be able to touch for various reasons. Going back to Lesson Zero, the second most substantial piece this episode alone brought to the table was including the other characters in the friendship reports. Besides what I already said about this when we reviewed the episode concerning that move, if that doesn't say the show staff was now considering taking the show to further and farther reaches and allowing it to mature and grow, then honest to goodness, I don't know what is, folks. I said that was pretty significant just because now we don't have to shoehorn Twilight in. And yeah, I still stand behind that. But now we can start focusing on the other characters without having to shoehorn Twilight in. We can tell better stories. We can tell Dragon Quest. We can tell Sweet and Elite. We can tell Sisterhood Social. We can tell all of these stories, and we don't have this hindrance of that is Twilight, having to shoehorn her in. And yes, this is why I will always feel that season 1 was far superior to season 2, and why I will always believe that what has come after this, because they continued this train from season 2, is why I will always say that season 2, season 4, season 3 I think was better than season 1. I'll just say that right off the bat, but I'm not going to start comparing seasons here. Anyway, the point is that this is why I love season 2 more than season 1, and I will always think that. And yes, I could even go so far as to jump ahead to season 4, where Lauren Faust had zero presence in anything regarding the show writing at the time season 4 began to the time season 4 ended, and say season 4 was so much better than season 2. And that had zero things to do with Lauren Faust in it, and therefore I could correlate, though of course correlity does not imply causality, that I like what Megan and Jason have done with the show than anything Lauren Faust ever did. So yes, feel free to get the torches and pitchforks, people. I'll be waiting. And I know, yeah, I did see your point there, Matt, that Faust did have a point to this episode, or she was part of the staff. She helped write the season 2 finale. She helped write Heartwarming Eve. She, of course, was the season 1. She had a hand in that. Yes, I realize that. However, I have to agree with what Tim said back when we did lesson 0. He said something like, the changes between season 1 and season 2, where Faust had executive power versus where she had limited or was a creative consultant here in season 2, are very night and day. I have to agree with him on that. Something else I want to note about season 2 that I really like. I've been pounding upon continuity, and this was more continuity linking in between each episode. But something I want to note that I really do like about season 2 itself is not just the continuity it laid down for itself in between each episode, but was the well, I'll quote it here. Season 2 laid down a huge foundation for future episodes and other in-universe things, and how other in-universe things would operate. To name a few, Discord. We'd be coming back to him in the next. We will be coming back to him in the next season and beyond. The Dragon mythology, Dragon Quest. The Flim Flam brothers. Cerberus's appearance, probably the biggest one, biggest yet subtlest. Season 2 laid down a huge foundation for the future episodes of it. And first of all, yes, I'll be noting them when we get there, especially in season 3 and 4. But again, kind of what I said earlier, if that doesn't tell me that the show staff was ready to take this show far more seriously and say, bring the camping gear, folks, we're going to be here a while. At least for sure, some of the big higher ups like Megan and Jason, who were going to be here, for a while. Okay, hold on. Okay, why don't we start discussing the fandom side of things? And yeah, I'm going to be kind of passing the mic off to Rain Shadow here, but I'll ask you guys. So what do you guys have to say more about the fandom? And actually, I do have a few notes in here about that, but Rain, I think you have far more than I do, so go ahead. I think I know what I can add. You're right. Season 2, especially in between season 1 and season two's run itself, we did see a lot of growth in the fandom. That's when I joined, just 4 days before season 1 kicked off. Tim joined. I believe Mr. Ben joined in between it. Stupid dogs. Rain, I believe you joined. Yeah, definitely it was a matter of this is perhaps, and more specifically, I want to elaborate. This is where the I would say the second wave of bronies joined. But anyway, as I was saying, yep, and that was it, Rain. That's it right there. Excuse me. Not just the press. Well, okay, yeah, the press, but carry on. The lamestream media. Yeah, but partially that was due to Hasbro's doing Rain Shadow. However, I see your point. Go on. That leads to a point I'll get to, Mr. Ben. And I think the internet makes that possible, Venher. On both sides of the coin, of course. The Brony phenomenon was one of the first internet fandoms. I would say strongly. It was internet originated, as Dr. Edwards said, and I think it's evolved a little bit further beyond that. But yeah, I know where you're going, and that's all I'll say. Yep, Rain Shadow. Yep. Yeah, Matt, definitely. You need a thick skin if you're going to do that. Twilight is magic. You definitely need a thick skin. So yeah, especially there's someone like Dave Polsky, who's unfortunately had nothing but spears and torches thrown at him. I think that's the best part. Twilight is magic. Something I'm going to start going off on a rambling here. Something that we kind of we missed the exit, so I'm going to go there and then I'll get back to you guys. Where was I? Oh yeah, something in the fandom that I think happened, and I talk with a lot of people, and even to this day, I still find a lot of people who joined between anywhere between the end of season 1, as in the immediate day after the best night ever. That's what I was looking for. The immediate day after that episode ended, and the immediate day after the royal wedding. We'll call that between season 1 and season 2, for definition, for just ease. That's what I'm looking for. Most people that I know of joined about this time. Again, look at you guys. You guys are proof of that. Now this is based off of Dr. Edwards' research. I want to note something, and I'm just kind of parroting what he said. It's interesting to note that I believe that those who joined between season 1 and season 2 were basically the third wave of second. I'm sorry, about the second wave of the Brony fandom, because according to his research, what he calls the hipster bronies or the renegade bronies, these are the guys who were the first wave. As he defined them, these were the guys who mostly watched the show ironically. You know, a grown man watching a show for little girls, absurd. Those kind of people. They got it out of the shock value. That's not surprising. That the more I think about it, that's not surprising that those kind of people would watch this show at first, that they would be the first wave. And I don't mean that on the basis of an insult. I just think they would be the first ones. Let's explore territory that's not been charted. Let's explore territory that would even go so far as to get one attention. And, well, yeah, the attention part. By this time, between season 2, I think that luster wore off. Why? You can only shock someone so many times before... Surprise, I'll say. You can only surprise someone so many times before the luster wears off to them. As in, you watch a show for little girls. Good for you. That's what you're going to get. So in comes the second wave. We're not watching the show for irony anymore. We're watching it because we genuinely like what we see. So it's no wonder that it's not a surprise to me that Dr. Edwards noted. Hang on. Of course, Matt. Of course. It's the better wording for this is the Streisand effect. No, not the Streisand effect. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of something where I know what I'm looking for. There is no such thing as bad publicity. There's only publicity, and the more and more I've dwelt on that line, the more and more it's become true. And here's a perfect example of it: the pony fandom. Think about it. Again, look at the hipsters. What's going to happen? You watch a show for little girls. And so of course, what does that do? That exposes people to this show. They go, "You watch My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic," and of course, here comes Mr. Curiosity knocking, and he's all like, "Hey, you should watch this show." And you're like, "It's a show for little girls. Why would I want to watch it?" They're watching it. Don't you want to be part of the bandwagon? Why? Why would I want to join that bandwagon? Well, who knows? You might like it. Yeah, I'm going to like this. You know, you won't know until you try. If I try it, will you shut up? Yeah. Tosses you the remote. And then you go, and then you watch it, and you watch it and you go, why do I like this? Why do I like this? But you'll notice that I'm saying, why do I like this? We aren't watching it because we're going, hey, I'm watching a little girl's show. Give me attention. We're watching it because we're saying, hey, I'm watching a show for little girls. You guys might like it too. I do. And there you go. I genuinely will always believe, until I can obviously see proof otherwise, that the second wave was in this genuinely. Now, is that to say that people have left? Of course. Left who were in the second wave and have left. Yeah, easily. Easily. In fact, I think we'll be discussing that when we get to Twi'lek again. But without a doubt, I genuinely think that Season 2 brought about the end of the first wave of bronies and the second wave in. Part of that comes with Lauren Faust leaving. Of course, Tim kind of touched upon those dedicated to her. And on that note, I'll add a little detail. They were following her. They weren't following the show. Which, that's fine. That's their business. And again, some of the aforementioned hipster bronies. But because the luster wore off. So a lot of these first waivers left because of those. Also, I should note cadence and some of the changing in the direction, that it was now a darker, more seriously taken show. Those kind of things, I'm not surprised that they left, or that the first wave left because of that, for one reason or another. But now Faust is gone. We never were part of the irony crowd. Everything that's been established is now maturing. So what's left for us? Just to enjoy the show. Do I think another wave has happened? I do. But we'll get there when we get there later. Well, okay, I'll give you a hint. Twi'lek again. But yeah, that one we'll get there when we get there. So it's no wonder that I also see a lot of the... Rain, you mentioned the content that was produced between these two seasons. Yeah, I would... I would agree with that, Matt. Because most of Wave 2 loved the show genuinely, I'm not surprised that they would turn that love into fandom created things that, into content. Where was I? So it's no wonder that we got such a huge wave of content. Before anyone asks, do I think it's slowed down? A little. I don't think in terms of quality it's slowed down, but quantity, I do think it has slowed down a little bit as of late. But I do remember season 2 being involved in it and in between it. And I remember quite a lot. Yeah, definitely Rain. You're gonna have to note that when we get later on, Matt the Shadow Man. I'm that intrigues me. True, Mr. Ben, but I remember somewhat vividly between season 2, the content was just the quantity was just insane. In comparison to off seasons, but that's not surprising. Off seasons, of course, they tend to drop down in virtually everything. Let's talk about the merchandising for a minute here. Both Rain Shadow and Matt, I know where you guys live somewhat. That one's in America, one's in Britain. So let's go off on a tangent here, folks. I would go so far as to agree with you on that one, Matt, that, quote, Hasbro ramping things up with the upcoming movie. Yeah, I think that Hasbro's marketing with this show has certainly grown, both in quality and quantity. For instance, no more Pink Lestia, of course. Tangent's best trigonometric function, Mr. Ben. They still do sell things like the blind bags, which are oftentimes spray painted rehashes of a base model. But I have noticed that a lot of the toys have been actually rather higher quality. Look at the Fourth Dimension Entertainment stuff. Look at those. Look at the Beanie Babies, for crying out loud. How about trying to think of some more I'm trying to think of the other official merchandise that we've seen, and I say official on the premise of not fan made, and not fan made, and needing a purchase, as in it also has the Hasbro license to it. Yep, yeah, I just mentioned that. Look at the knockoffs too, Mr. Ben. Those have shot up. And on that note, I want to note, if your product is being knocked off, having someone rip you off, that's actually probably a good sign that you're doing really well. And then there were those terrible Equestria Girls knockoffs that I showed about, 2 weeks ago? I think it did rain Shadow. I remember vaguely that by the end of season 2, they were starting to do a mass dubbing. Let me think. I'm just trying to remember when Soren's apple pie was hot. Yeah, I think it was close to. It was somewhere either in between when season 2 was going on or just shortly thereafter. In fact, hasn't the dubbing picked up a little bit too as of late? Ugh. Tim, window now. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember the Japanese one being big because I think that one was. Why was? I'm more curious why that one was so big. Because was it just because it was Western animation going to Japan, or was it just because? Who knows? Anyway, let me think. No, if I recall right, I think Japan's was. I want to say that was in between season 3. Venner, I like your comment. I Yeah, Japan's was because I remember season 3 being over with, and they made mention of or close to being done anyway, and they said something like Japan will only get the first 3 seasons. Gee, thank you, Matt. I had only buried those memories twice before, and you just went and resurrected them. Thank you, Matt, or Mr. Ben. Okay, I think we're. I kind of want to draw back to season 2. Overall, and I know you guys probably already said this, but overall, what do you have to say about season 2 as a whole? You know how we always summarize the episodes, so let's summarize the whole season. What do you guys have to say about that? I think I already gave my summary on what made season 2 so good, in my opinion, so I'm not really going to repeat it, even as a short summary. But I am interested in what you guys have to say. I kind of like my old office chair than this one. You know, people think I'm doing Steve Carell when I'm actually trying to do, what's his name? Marty McFly. Michael J. Fox, that's it. So, I think the best way to wrap this up, folks, is with what else? A top 10. Now, I know you guys might not have given, or you guys might not have a top 10 listed, but, and I should note that for later. But like last time, I do have my top 10 list of season 2. Do you want me to start with ascending order from 1 to 2 to 3, or in descending order, that is from 1 to 2 to 3, or ascending order from 10 to 9 to 8? So most of you are saying ascending, couple descending. Work my way up. Okay, you guys are saying start 10, go to 1. All right, so before I begin, I'll just note that this list is not set in stone. Just like last time, this one isn't set in stone. It's, why do I get so distracted easily? It's not set in stone, but I will say that the closer we get to the top, it's probably a little bit more concrete. However, even those aren't. So let's begin. EJ's top 10 of season 2. Number 10. Read It and Weep. I already gave a lot of points about why I like this one, but I think what solidified it as number 10 was I like what it did with Dash. And on top of it, I like the moral. Plus, I don't think this one was, in regards to the other ones that I have on my list, it wasn't as Titanic in terms of its stories. But like I said, sometimes I'm just looking for a really good story. Number 9, Ponyville Confidential. Again, I loved how surprisingly mature this episode was. I also like what it did with Diamond Tiara. Number 8, Sister Hooves Social. 2 words. Rarity. 4 words, I'm sorry. What was I thinking? 2 people, I was thinking. 2 characters, then 4 words. Rarity and Sweetie Belle. I love that, as I said, their rocky relationship. And it's fun watching these two interact, as we'll see in a future episode in particular. Number 7, Baby Cakes. Yeah, I'll be truthful, I'm a little bit surprised this one's high, a bit higher on my list than I thought, but truth be told, I'm okay with that. What won this one over from Sister Hooves Social for me was that this one was a little bit more, as I said, this one knew the intensity that it needed to do, the seriousness of its situation, and it stuck with it fantastically. And that's what it won. That's how it won over Sister Hooves Social. Plus, I admit it's fun watching Pinkie Pie get her butt handed to her by the Cake Twins. Number 6, Dragon Quest. Surprisingly, believe it or not, folks, on a personal note, I was expecting this one to be a little more, back up here. Before I made this top 10 list, even long before we got to season 2, this one was pretty high on my list of favorite episodes, but it really fell out of place. When I started piecing things together, it climbed a little bit higher than I expected. I'm still okay with that. Anyway, Dragon Quest I love because I've said of the moral. And I like the interactions. I like this story. I love, as I've said, how mature in particular this moral is and how useful it is for everyone to learn. Number 5, Return of Harmony. 1 word. Discord. Enough said. Moving on. The next 2 are tied. Number 3, Sweet and Elite and Lesson 0. Oh boy. When I was trying to decide where these 2 went in my list, it was a matter of one of them does something better than the other, but where the other one succeeds, it also lacks in where the other succeeds, if that makes any sense. I'll start with Sweet and Elite. What makes Sweet and Elite so great for me is not just the story. It's a fantastic story. I've always loved this story. Not just the execution and the execution of the story itself, but just some of the elements to it, like the song and the character interactions, things like Fancy Pants, things like that. So the fact that it was also written by back up here. I was looking at the wrong notes. Sweet and Elite has a very mature tone to it as well. It's probably one of the most mature episodes, not just of season 2, but you could even argue of the entire series thus far. Lesson 0, on the other hand, I don't think its story is as big as Sweet and Elite's. However, what makes this one, and that's like just by a hair, we're talking a really small hair here, that I would say Sweet and Elite's story itself is better than Lesson 0's. However, where Lesson 0 succeeds over Sweet and Elite is how, what's the word I'm looking for? Magnanimous and monumental this one is to the entire series. Not just thus far, but even to this day. Not only did I just spend the entire episode that we reviewed doing this when we did Lesson 0, saying how significant it is, but here I just spent this episode not only reiterating, but adding on to that. This episode really climbed the ladder for me, and it climbed it very high, because anyone who knows me knows that I've said before, I hate how popular this episode is because of how many times I have to sit through people suggesting it. However, as I said back at the episode review, what really made me see it in a different light was saying, so what is it that people who like this episode see in this episode? That easily put it in my top 10. And when I realized, and when I started making my list here, and I realized this episode is just substantial. It is huge. Just big. Not just in an in-universe standpoint, from an out-universe standpoint. And that's where it succeeds over Sweet and Elite. Sweet and Elite's great, but it's its own self-contained story. Nothing really big there. So that's why Lesson Zero and Sweet and Elite are tied. I just couldn't really... Drawing the line where one was better was difficult, so I just made it a lot easier to tie them. Number 2, Putting Your Hoof Down. Yeah, these next two should be no-brainers. I have them listed on my page for my favorite episodes, or in the staff About Us page. Anyway, Putting Your Hoof Down. Now, I've said that that's my favorite episode that isn't the finale, and that's still true. I mean, number 2. But even if we... But I only say that on the premise of, because if I say my favorite episode, spoilers, A Canterlot Wedding, the next question out of everyone's mouth is, so what's your favorite episode that isn't the finale? So I try and answer it right there. But anyway, Putting Your Hoof Down, as I said back when we reviewed it, I love this story. I love the emotion that it puts into it. I love what it does to Fluttershy. I like the ending. That part pretty much right after she verbally assaults Rarity and Pinkie Pie, including and after it. So yes, I will always say that Putting Your Hoof Down is a damn good episode. And I'd like to see someone try and convince me otherwise. And number 1, A Canterlot Wedding. Do I really need to say that much about this one, folks? I thought I've pretty much made myself clear when we reviewed it about a week ago. Okay, for those of you who maybe weren't there or want me to repeat myself, it had one of the most amazing stories, and the fact that it pulled this surprise out of nowhere with the Changeling revelation, that was awesome. The fight scene, that was awesome. I love everything about this episode. I really do. Episodes, but I count them as one. It's a no-brainer for me. I love A Canterlot Wedding, and I always will. So what about you guys? What are some of your favorite episodes of Season 2? Good water. Always there for me. Or let you down. It won't run around or desert you either. Lesson 2, Lesson 0. And I'm sure some of you might be wondering what my least favorite episode of season 2 is. Truth be told, folks, I think the Cutie Pox has to be my least favorite episode of season 2. Why? Honest to God, I've forgotten about it. It's forgettable. There's really not much to it that makes me go, ooh, ah, or even, what the hell was that? It's just there. All the other episodes of season 2 have made me at least go, at the very least, I like that. And to be fair, the Cutie Pox has as well, but it doesn't, it just doesn't stick out to me in any way, shape, or form, good or bad. So that's why it's that's why it's my least favorite. It's just not much to it. Other than that, that's about all I have, folks. That is a bit surprising, Ben, but okay, I can see why. All right, before we take off here, let's wrap this up, folks. Before we take off, I do have to ask you. Now that we're in a post episode season or a post episode era ourselves, I want to get your guys' ideas on things you'd want to discuss. I can get some ideas down. We do have a few ideas ourselves, and we'll get to them. But of course, I want to hear your guys's. Maybe there's something you guys really, really want to discuss. Bear in mind that before you jump on me and say the comics, we'll get there. I promise you. In fact, that's the next thing we're gonna do. We'll get to the comics next. That's going to be the next big thing that we get to. But for now, I just need you guys to tell me what is it that you guys want to talk about. I'll note this though. It's going to be a while before we get to the comics. There are some topics I want to discuss with you guys that that I want to get to. But is there anything that you guys want to get to? Okay. For the record, yes. No, I'm going to say that. I'm sorry. Bear in mind that looking at the long-term schedule, I suppose we could do one on speculations. I'm sure we could come up with something there easily. Such as Twilight is Magic. What else was it I was going to say? That one we kind of do as a in progress one, Matt the Shadow Man. We do that from episode to episode. I'll tell you what. Go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, seeing as I think we're kind of running a little bit dry here. But if you have suggestions, just send them to me in some way, shape, or form. If I like them, I'll write them down. And okay, I like that one. I think I can add one. Or I can just broaden yours to fandom versus canon versus fanon Twilight is Magic. I suppose we could probably do something on that. Probably get our asses burnt for it by someone for sure, but hey. I'm prepared for it. Yeah, I suppose we could do that. Though I think we're actually going to be running into that in about 2 or 3 weeks whenever we get to the how you review episode. So I think we'll see how much we touch on it and what we can cover, but we'll see about that one, Tim. Such as Matt the Shadow Man? Honest to God, I thought we'd be getting off at 6 o'clock today, but no problem. Ooh. Part of the reason, I'll be honest with everyone here. You want to know why we haven't done fan fiction or talked about it at all? It's because I genuinely don't know that much about it. And even if so, this means I would have to spend a lot, and I mean a lot more than just my usual episode research to get things ready for it. It'd basically be a gigantic side project for this, and that's something that I just don't know if I can do it. Smoker Batman smokes fan fiction. But I got a few things I think we can talk about. That's not a bad idea. What Tim said, Mr. Ben. If you want to host a fan fiction episode here on BwB for us in between season 2 and the comics, be my guest. please. But we'll talk about that later. For now, let's go ahead and wrap this up, folks. I got a few things here. It's just going to be a matter of scheduling it now. It shouldn't be too hard, but easy to do. Anyway, meantime, we want to thank y'all for stopping on by. On behalf of myself, Mr. Ben, and Twilight is Magic, we want to thank everyone for stopping on by. Next week, since we botched Hurricane Fluttershy, we are going to redo that one. Tim will be hosting that whole episode. It's just like last time, except hopefully this time it will get recorded this time. So anyway, if you're in the mood for an episode review again, stop on by. In the meantime, farewell.